morning. I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela and we are the Castros.
Uyag.
Just like that.
Just like that. It's a Thursday na. Oo, and what was expected to be a very tight and exciting US election turned out to be a sweep. Oo, I read, paint the town red, sabi mo?
Oo, nanalo nga, no, itong si President-elect Donald Trump. Ilan yung niya? Electoral votes niya?
297? 297 to 94. Anyway, we'll talk about that more in a while.
Yes. Ano pa ba yung mga... Of course, dito tayo to monitor also yung Bagyong Marce.
Yes, Bagyong Marce.
Diba? Importante yan. And other issues dito sa ating bansa. Diba? Si Senator Amy Marcos, diniin niya, magkaibigan pa rin sila ni VP Sara Duterte.
Tapos yung yung sa update, yung sa kotse.
Yung
Senate.
yung protocol
plate.
Number
supposedly
7.
linked to a certain senator.
Kahapon yung driver.
Anyway, madami tayong pag-uusapan. Let's get right to it.
Meron tayong toasted siopaw.
Toasted siopaw for
Tapos
brunch.
meron akong taho, mainit na taho. Masarap. Kayo, ano po ba ang brunch niyo today?
Alright, we're serving you news in a countdown.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is brunch. Let's begin our countdown with the U.S. elections. As you can see in this heat map by Reuters on our screen, Donald Trump already has way above the 270 electoral votes needed to win. That makes him the projected winner of the 2024 U.S. elections. Kamala Harris, meanwhile, was short of over 40 electoral votes.
Let's talk about this. Well, technically, we can't really call it flip states. Yan ang term nila. But because itong states na ito in question are battleground states, meaning either way, the Republican, Democrat, and we see President Trump literally sweep the states. Now,
yung pinaka-importanting states sa sinasabi ng mga...
Pennsylvania is the most.
Oo, Pennsylvania. Nung una kahapon, yung Pennsylvania, medyo lumalamang pa si Vice President Kamala Harris.
That's because of the early votes.
Yes.
Mail-in votes pala.
Oo, pero kinalaunan nga ay nakuha din ito ni President-elect Donald Trump. And sabi nga naman ng mga legal experts, mga nakakausap natin, once Pennsylvania nakuha mo, most probably talagang sayo na ang
ito yung nakaligtaan ng nagkaligtaan ng even US news anchors were saying this, no. They forgot to talk about this issue. They were so focused on Pennsylvania, on the rhetoric of Trump about being racist. They forgot that si President Trump is pro-fracking. Now, if you know what fracking is the process of which you're drilling for oil. Ngayon, si Harris is anti-fracking. But yung mga taga-Pennsylvania, if you talk to them, most of them, majority of them, are pro-fracking because pag nakahanap ka ng oil sa Pennsylvania, ang daming income yan for that state. Diba? And Trump promised them, we will frack and then we will look for oil and then keep on fracking, gumanon siya. And then what they don't realize, if you do that, madaming jobs. Yun. So this became pala a silent driver of votes to the factors. And Latinos, most of the Latinos voted for Trump. Surprising, ha?
Oo. Tapos iba pang mga importanteng swing states like Georgia,
North Carolina.
Georgia pala, way back I forgot the year, was Democrat before. Pero nag-swing sila at that particular year because of mga civil rights issues.
Wisconsin,
yan.
Michigan.
Tapos North Carolina, yan mga nakuha.
Michigan, oo. He essentially broke down the blue wall states once again. All right, and what's the mood like in the U.S. now that they have a newly elected president? Joby Francisco, of course, of One News, is now reporting live from the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C.
Hello!
Hello, Joby! Good morning from the Philippines. Si Joby wala pang tulog.
Apakasipag. Apakasipag talaga.
Oo, Joby.
Good evening from Washington, D.C. And yes, tama ka, Diego. Andito ako sa compound ng Philippine Embassy natin dito sa Washington, DC dahil may event dito ngayon at opportunity para makausap ang ating mga kababayan o mga PhilAms para sa kanilang reaksyon dito sa naganap na botohan at eleksyon at resulta ng halalan nga dito sa Amerika. Pero mamaya na natin puntahan yan. I think ang gusto natin malaman kung anong activities yung dalawang frontrunners nung nakalipas na botohan, di ba? So unahin natin si President-elect
Donald
Trump. Di ba? Yun na yung tawag natin sa kanya ngayon. President-elect Donald Trump. So nasa Florida lang siya at pero naging busy doon answering calls from other world leaders, and at the same time nagbuo na siya ng committee na mag-perform ng transition committee na tinatawag nila in preparation for the inauguration, and aside from that para mag-vet ng mga pwede mag-candidate for yung cabinet post ng kanyang administrasyon.
So kailan ba yung inauguration?
January.
Jovi, I'd like to ask, I remember si President-elect Donald Trump during the campaign said the night if he wins the presidency, ang una niyang gagawin is kakausapin daw niya si Putin, kakausapin daw niya si Zelensky, tatapusin na daw niya yung giyera. Do you have any information if he indeed talked to any of them?
Ang alam natin ay merong call si Zelensky sa kanya, pero yung Putin, kailangan ko pang alamin yan kung nagkaroon ng ganong pag-uusap. Pero kasama sa mga aside from yung mga leaders from Europe ay syempre yung atin na nagbigay ng statement si PBBM tungkol sa pagkapanalo nga ni Trump. At wala pa yata yun yung well at least sa monitoring natin kanina. Hindi ko alam kung merong individual talks or kung meron na ang topic ay tungkol doon na Diego.
Kanina na-report ni Jovi kasi na tumawag na si Kamala Harris kay President-elect Donald Trump para i-congratulate. Pero I wanna know also yung mood nung mga supporters naman ni Kamala Harris after the result.
Okay, ang na-observe ko lang muna at least yung supporters muna, yung mga student supporters na nag-perform nung Washington DC, mga nag-volunteer for ay nando doon sa Howard University kahapon. So hindi ko man napasok dahil ang dami nila talaga doon kanina, Angela. Ay palpable pa rin naman kahit doon sa on the way out o saka yung mga nag-travel by metro pabalik sa city na alam mo na na hindi kahit na sinasabi nung kanilang leader o nung binoto na let's move on and na hindi na natapos ang lahat dito ay parang mahirap pa rin i-console yun, di ba? Because they poured their hearts out para dito sa kampanya na to na sinasabi nga nila ay given more time daw sana kasi hindi lang 3 months baka daw mas naging mas malakas pa or lumakas pa yung kanilang laban. Alam naman natin na she just stepped in after bumaba doon sa race itong si President Joe Biden. So ganun siya. Tapos yung mga PhilAms naman na nakausap ko rito, hindi ko pa napapadala yung mga soundbites kasi kaka-interview lang natin ngayon. Basta ang concern nila parang dapat daw yung continuation ng Filipino-American mga agreements ituloy lang and they're fine with it. Of course, nalulungkot sila na hindi yung manok nila yung nanalo, yung ibang bumoto for Kamala. Pero since meron naman talaga strong ties yung dalawang bansa, sana daw walang disruption ng mga meron ng agreements about it.
Pero Jovi, I'd like to ask yung mood on the ground. Kasi I understand kayong mga press were already prepared for a long, drawn-out battle. In fact, he didn't expect the count to be as fast as it was, diba? So ano ngayon ang reaction nyo as press? Were you prepared, Jovi, na hanggang possibly Friday? Although alam ko ayaw mo sana umabot ng Friday and Saturday. Pero wishes granted, natapos kagabi. What was your reaction?
Angela and Diego, si Angela alam niya yung aking tayuan ng kapag nag-report ako for the mornings, yung sa US Capitol, diba?
Yes.
Doon din tumatayo yung iba mga foreign media kapag nag-stand up sila for their live reports. Lahat kami parang we were all prepared to do it to cover this until Saturday at least kung based from the last elections. Yung count. So we didn't expect the para overnight. Although nangyari na sa ibang mga edisyon ng halalan dito, yung overnight, malalaman mo na. Hindi namin in-expect sa edisyon na ito, pero mabilis ang nangyari. So okay naman. So at least kagawa tayo ng ibang storya today instead of yun lang ang gagawin natin.
Pero Jovi, I'd like to ask kasi reports came in the last time a dominant election such as this happened was panahon ni President Ronald Reagan. Given na the polls showed lahat dikit, anong mga usap-usapan between press people there now? What happened na this was literally a sweep?
Merong issue about inflation and immigration. Parang yun daw talaga yung mga pinag-isipan ng mga bumoto na hindi pa kumbinsido. Kaya dikit nung laban nung pre-election, pero yung bulk ng bumoto for election day, parang yun daw yung mga pinag-isipan ng husto, kaya nasway na gano'n. And yun na nga, sana daw kasi talaga nabigyan ng chance magpakilala yung lumaban sa isang kilala na figure. Kasi kung 3 months nga lang naman daw, parang ang laki ng habol na gagawin. So parang gano'n nangyari. So sa pre-election, siyempre yun yung tingin ng marami ay para maging resulta, lalo at bumoboto na sila even pre-election day. Kaya ganun lumabas sa parang dikit. Pero siyempre, lahat ng yan ay pwede mabago because mas malaki yung halos more than a half pa yung hindi bumoboto at bumoto nung election day mismo.
Also, Jovi, the reports were coming in about yung mga Democrats, registered Democratic voters, na hindi daw nagtyaga masyado sa pila, na ang haba daw nagsialisan yung iba, whereas yung Republican voters daw stayed in line, talagang nagtyaga. How true is this, Jovi?
I think, mahirap naman na sabihin ko dahil hindi ko nasaksihan, although may mga reports na ganyan dito, Diego and Angela. Pero I think, there's merong parang clues na pwedeng nangyari talaga because we all know how until the very last minute before magbukas yung halalan o yung pagboto na physical or in person, nangangampanya pa yung dalawang kandidato at saka si Kamala Harris ay nag-radio hopping, radio station hopping pa kasi nga baka merong mga tao na hindi bumoboto pa doon sa kanilang hanay.
Ay, tanong ko lang din, Jovi, kasi isa sa mga strong points supposedly na dapat daw ay ginamit din ni Kamala Harris sa kanyang kampanya ay yung tungkol sa pagiging babae, no? And we all know naman how she supports women and LGBTQ community. Ano yung pulso, no? Ano yung mga mood o yung nararamdaman ngayon ng mga babae, ng mga LGBTQ community dito sa resulta ng eleksyon?
Siguro, sabihin ko na sa ngayong araw na to, sa 5 siguro na interview ko or nakausap, di na interview na kababaihan, iisa lang din yung sinasabi nila, yung fear nila doon sa Project 2025 ba, Diego, I think na-mention mo to before. Isa yun sa mga concern nila, di ba? Kung matutuloy yung plan na yun, now that Trump is president, kasama doon yung yung pwede masaklawan yung karapatan ng mga kababaihan, LGBTQ at saka ng mga immigrants.
Okay, sige. Siguro yun muna sa amin on our end. Pero magpahinga ka muna and patuloy kami makikipag-ugnayan sa'yo kapag may mga happenings pa dyan.
I'd like to ask Jovi, straight ka na ba to another state? Ano ang next agenda mo?
New York, next week pa naman yun. So dito pa ako sa DC dahil may mga ganap pa dito until Saturday. Tsaka yun na nga, we projected kasi na Saturday pa natin malalaman. Kaya dito tayo ng Saturday. So we'll just continue covering from here sa Washington DC. Pero iba rin syempre ang complexion kapag nagpunta ka ng New York. Alam natin kung ano yung state na yan.
May mga narinig ka ba dyan, Jovi, na mga scheduled activities ni President-elect Donald Trump para to thank his supporters?
Ngayon ay stay in Florida as of ngayong gabi. Yun yung narinig natin announcement doon sa grupo na humahawak ng transition team niya. No? So doon daw muna, wala pang movement dito. Pero sila Kamala, at saka syempre, sila yung vice president na incumbent, pati si Biden. Tuloy yung trabaho dito sa Washington DC.
Alright, sige. Maraming salamat, Jovi Francisco, our senior editor here sa
One News.
One News. Thank you so much and ingat. Okay, sige. Cambio muna tayo sa mabalita natin tungkol sa US elections and let's continue with our countdown. On our 9th spot is Typhoon Marce. Signal number 4 is raised in the northern portion of our country. Let's get more information about this with our very own mobile journalist, Francis Orsio. Francis, nasaan na ba si Typhoon Marce ngayon at ano-ano yung mga lugar na under storm signals?
Yes, Angela, the Typhoon Marce has slightly intensified at patuloy siyang lumalapit at umikilos dito sa may mainland Cagayan. Nasa layo na itong 155 kilometers sa may silangan ng Apari, Cagayan, and we are expecting nga na maglalandfall na itong mamayang hapon o gabi dito sa may areas ng Claveria or dito sa may northern portion ng Ilocos Norte. But for now, Patuloy nagtaas din ang tropical cyclone wind signal number 4 dito sa may areas ng northern portion ng mainland Cagayan. Nandiyan din ang northeastern portion ng Apayao at northern portion ng Ilocos Norte. Habang signal number 3 naman sa may Batanes, natitirang bahagi ng Cagayan, Apayao, Ilocos Norte, northern portion ng Abra at northern portion ng Ilocos Sur. Habang signal number 2 sa may northern and central portions ng Isabela, natitirang bahagi ng Abra, Kalinga, Mountain Province, northern portions ng Ifugao at Benguet, natitirang bahagi ng Ilocos Sur at northern portion ng La Union. Habang sa signal number 1 ay dito sa may iba pang bahagi ng La Union, Ifugao, Benguet, Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya at dahil nga malawak din yung sakop ng kaulapan nito, nakakaranas din ng pagbugso ng hangin dito sa may areas ng Nueva Ecija at sa may Zambales. Angela.
Yes, Francis, yung mga nabanggit mong signal, no, I would like to ask naman kasi sa wind yan. I'd like to ask ano naman ang magiging impact regarding sa rainfall in the places you mentioned, especially sa Metro Manila also. Anong ang magiging rainfall warning natin?
Yes, Angelo, no, magkaiba nga yung tropical cyclone wind signal doon sa forecast accumulated rainfall ng Pag-asa. And we are expecting today na bukod doon sa malakas na bugso ng hangin na mararanasan sa mga areas, lalo sa signal number 4, ay makakaranas din sila ng malalakas na boost ng ulan or more than 200 millimeters ng rainfall. That means nasa intense to torrential rainfall here, particularly sa may Cagayan at Apayao area. Ito kasi yung mga lugar or probinsya na malapit talaga doon sa sentro o mata ng bagyo. Kaya sa mga areas na yan, sa mga nasa low-lying communities or mabababang lugar, asahan natin yung mga pagbaha, lalo na yung mga tubig na manggagaling din sa bundok. At yung mga areas na nasa bundok naman, asahan natin kung masyado nang saturated din or basa yung kanilang lupa, ay we are, nandun yung possibility na baka nga magkaroon din ng landslide scenario sa mga areas na nasa bundok. At aside from the intense to torrential rains, yung heavy to intense din nandyan sa Ilocos Norte, sa Batanes at sa ilan pang bahagi ng Abra and Isabela, and sa mga ilan pang bahagi ng Northern Luzon, yung light to moderate rains din ay nasahan natin for today, Diego.
So I guess parang sa Metro Manila wala masyado, no, Francis?
Yes, Angelo. Actually, dito sa Metro Manila and the rest of the country, we are expecting na fair weather yung condition natin. Although may forecast ngayon ng localized thunderstorms, pero yung possibility niyan ay mataas, lalo na sa hapon at sa gabi. Tulad nung nangyari din kagabi or kahapon na nakaranas tayo ng mga pag-ulan sa afternoon and evening. But for now, makikita natin na medyo magiging maaliwalas ang ating kalangitan at kukulit din mamayang hapon hanggang sa makaranas nga tayo ng mga light rain showers ng gabi, Angelo.
Kailan nga ulit, para clear tayo, no, kailan lalabas ulit si Bagyong Marce at saka kung meron pa ba tayo na monitor na other weather disturbances outside our part?
Yes, Angela, based on the track and intensity forecast ng Pag-asa, we are expecting na lalabas na ng Philippine Area of Responsibility by afternoon or evening ng Friday or early morning ng Saturday. Ito ang mata or sentro ng bagyo. At sa paglabas niyan, meron pa tayong isang nakikitang sama ng panahon or cloud cluster dito sa may labas ng Philippine Area of Responsibility. And over the weekend, sabi ng Pag-asa, asahan natin na papasok itong sama ng panahon at magiging low pressure area. At hindi rin nila inaalis yung possibility na mag-upgrade or intensify ito a tropical depression sa mga susunod na linggo. So asahan natin na kahit makalabas na ito ng itong Bagyong Marce ng Philippine Area of Responsibility, by next week ay may isa na namang sama ng panahon na maaaring maka-apekto sa atin at magpaulan. At nakikita nila yan dito ulit sa may bahagi ng Luzon area, Angela.
Naku, sunod-sunod talaga. Okay, sige, patuloy kami makipag-ugnayan sa iyo regarding weather reports. But for the meantime, thank you so much, mobile journalist Francis Orsion. Isa na naman daw.
Oo, isa. And kasi tail end na. If you remember, di ba, Ondoy came in around November. Oo, di ba? So talagang hindi huhupay.
November 8,
yeah.
Hindi, Yolanda pala yung
Yolanda. Pero I'm saying hanggang December meron pa yan. We should expect that. Pero more on the southern and northern areas.
Kawawa naman sila. Hindi
kawawa.
pa nga
Actually, sa north, sunod-sunod din sa north nakaranas.
Cagayan, ngayon, gearing up na sila dun para makapag-prepare sila sa hagupit ni Bagyong Marce.
Kaya nga ang tanong ng marami, ano daw epekto ng amihan sa mga bagyo na ito? Tapos, siyempre, mga iba gusto na maglabas sana ng kanilang mga sweater.
Naku, kawawa. Yung
di pa yun po, mahaba pa po ang storm season. So, ingat-ingat lang tayo lahat. Alright, let's move on to the next. Coming in at our 8th spot, scammers have found a new modus targeting digital wallet users. They are now posing as e-wallet companies sending advisory text messages. These messages include links that provide scammers access to the user's accounts. So the ICT says those behind these are POGO hubs that have yet to be shut down.
Mukhang legitimate yung kanilang message. Kasi yung message header nila, GCash or Maya, reminding you to update your account, otherwise isasara. And you have to click a link.
Let's talk more about scams and how to combat that.
Mel Migrino, country head of global trust tech company GoGo Look, is now joining us via Zoom. Good morning.
Good
Thank
morning,
you very much for joining us, Miss Mel.
Hello everyone. Magandang umaga po. Hello, Miss Angela and Sir Diego.
Yes, Miss Mel, when yung initial reports on POGO came out as nagre-raid na sunod-sunod, bumaba yung cases ng scamming. But now parang
yung mga text
messages related to that. Parang now they're on the rise again. So ano po ang data natin on certain scams in the Philippines? Is it a concerning trend again na parang umaakit or dumadami na naman ng mga scams na nangyayari?
Okay. So actually, just to share with you, so in GoGoLook, we are, a trusted company. And we do provide a mobile anti-scam solution. So who's call? We do have a community reporting. Now, what I would like to share, taking off note dun sa statement ni Undersecretary Alexander Ramos. Ito kasi yung mga SMS scams, 'di ba? Na actually gumagamit sila ng mga text blaster, and since they're using text blaster which are practically illegal device, so hindi na siya nangangailangan ng SIM card. So ngayon may mga registered numbers tayo. So registered number in who's call, meaning reported numbers na sinasabi natin na scam-related numbers or fraud-related numbers. So ito yung nakita namin. So based on our study, starting August of last year, August 1, 2023, until end of August of this year, we were able to gather around 3.9 million scam SMS or scam messages. Tapos in terms of the scam calls naman, that is around 414,000. So may increase ito in terms of the SMS scam messages as well as the scam calls. Parehas po sila na may increase ng more than 200% as compared to the previous 12 months time frame na nakita namin. So, having said that, it poses also a big concern,
Right.
And what is actually good about this is we are working closely with CICC, of course, together with Scamwatch Pilipinas, with regards to really educating the public. So in terms of the types of scam, yung sa mga nabanggit ko, so actually karamihan dyan will really be on phishing scams. So ito po yung mga malicious or suspicious emails na mga nare-receive natin.
Yeah.
Actually, yung pong e-wallet scam na na-mention ng CICC kahapon po, so those are actually forms of clickbait and as well as credential harvesting. Bakit? Kasi doon po sa SMS blaster na yon, di ba meron siyang link. So pag kinlik nyo yung link, it will direct you to a fake website or fake page. So pag ka na doon, ang mangyayari doon is hihingan ka na ng personal information mo. So sa larangan ng cybersecurity, credential harvesting po yung tawag natin doon. Other types of scams naman, based on what we have seen in our statistics, would be around promotions or fake gift cards.
Yes.
Marami rin po kaming nakita around yung mga downloading of suspicious or malicious applications. And then, meron din tayong mga nakikita na mga loan scam, job scam related. Madami din po on the e-commerce related, very specific on the purchase of tech gadgets po. And then, educational references or giving promos for educational institutions or books. So far, yan yung mga nakita natin. Now, meron din tayong mga nakita on the suspicious or malicious links. Nagre-record din po kasi yan si Whoscall. Meron po kasi siyang, meron kasi kami dong URL checker. So kapag user ka ng Whoscall, pwede kang mag-check doon. Ngayon, ipre-risk profile niya yon. Posible kasi na kung bagong-bagong create lang yung domain na yon o yung URL na yon o yung web link na yon, posible kasing wala pa po siya doon. So, doon sa database namin. Pag wala pa po siya, ina-encourage po namin kayo na i-report nyo doon. Kasi pag ni-report nyo yun, it undergoes an internal vetting process, no? So,
pero ma'am, I'm sorry to cut you there, kasi doon sa sinasabi nyo pong pagre-report ng scams, kadalasan po kasi ngayon hindi na nagre-report yung mga kababayan natin. They just, turn a blind eye on this kasi napakahirap. 'Di ba, for them or taxing yung proseso ng pagre-report. So what can you advise these people or our kababayan na para sipagin naman po na makapag-report para tumigil o masampulan itong mga scammers?
Yeah. I guess Miss Angela, hindi nagre-report kasi nagkaroon yung mga Pilipino ng notion o parang na-stick sa mindset nila na wala naman kasing mangyayari, di ba? Kasi sa totoo lang, marami rin namang mga scam cases, di ba, na hindi naman, wala silang na-retrieve, di ba? In terms, or wala silang na-recover na money. So I guess, meron nun. Yung mga iba naman, natatakot sila. So merong kaming mga ganyang mindset na nakita. But so that's the reason why we are working closely with CICC and ScamWatch, because we really wanted to educate Filipinos. And part of that education is we give to all Filipinos free use ng Whoscall mobile app. So, punta lang sila sa Google Play Store or App Store. I-download lang po nila. Libre po yan. Walang bayad yan. So, at least meron silang sense of protection, digital protection, ika nga. Kada mag-i-internet sila, diba, gagamit sila ng mga chat messages, ganyan, mag-chat.
Miss Mel, yung kasi napapansin namin dun sa mga messages, particularly na mga nasisend sa amin na scam. Alam mo naman na scam na pero gumagamit sila ng mga, sa tingin natin, minsan sa unang tingin, legit na mga pangalan ng mga kumpanya. Under our, di ba, SIM Card Registration Act, dapat makapag-register tayo, isa lang yung pangalan ng SIM card natin, etc. Paano po nila nagagawa yun?
Okay.
Where do they get your SIM cards?
Yeah. So, yung siguro balik tayo dun sa dun sa explanation ni CICC po kahapon So, kasi meron tayong text blaster, and yung text blaster na sinasabi nila is it is not a legitimate device. So meaning hindi siya authorized device, and that device was able to enter the country with an illegal intent. So sa typical configuration kasi ng isang SMS text blaster, you can actually configure there. So like for example, gusto kong palabasin, let's say magsesend ako ng let's say SMS blast in this specific area, ganyan. Pero gusto kong ilagay doon na let's say galing ito sa isang sikat na e-wallet service provider.
Totoo.
Pwedeng ganun. So, ganun kasi ma'am yung nangyayari doon. So, there are actually configurations that you can do to make it appear na totoo yun.
Legit ko,
diba? Hindi siya fake na galing lang ito sa isang unknown number po.
Galing. Okay, sige. Siguro po, panghuli na lang, mabilisan lang po na paalala sa ating mga kababayan na umiwas po talaga dito sa mga
lalo
scams na ito.
Holiday season.
Oo.
Okay. Yes. So, siguro yung mga ilang reminders namin is we need to exercise our bias talaga, no? Huwag tayo basta-basta naniniwala doon sa mga natatanggap natin. Kinakailangan nating mag-validate. Tapos pag may mga nare-receive tayo na mga URLs or kahit anong web link, nasa Viber ba yan, Telegram, WhatsApp, 'di ba, sa email, 'di ba, i-validate natin siya. Kung gumagamit po kayo ng Whoscall mobile app, napakadali lang po. Copy-paste nyo lang po yung link na yun doon sa mobile app. Sasabihin sa inyo ng mobile app, ito dangerous link, ito safe link. Ganyan. And then, mag-ingat din tayo. Wag po tayo mahilig, no? Magbigay ng personal information.
Tama.
And yung data na ibibigay natin na galing sa atin, i-assess din natin kung talagang nagtatransact ka doon, i-validate mo rin, appropriate ba yung amount of data, yung amount of personal data na gusto mong i-share sa kanila. Baka you are already sharing an excessive personal information about you na eventually it can be used against you.
Yeah, Mel, you mentioned, sorry, you mentioned a while ago na about GoGoLook na this app that helps mga kababayan natin fight yung mga scammers na pwede mangyari na maka-apekto sa kanila. But what are the other initiatives from GoGoLook na we can look forward to?
Okay. So, sir, I guess, aside dun sa mga features na nabanggit ko po kanina, no? So, meron kaming ID security check. So, that's one of the key features wherein pwede mo pong ma-check ano yung mga cases mo of data leakage. And then, yung one big thing that we're trying to do for next year, we will launch the content checker. So, ano yun? Kahit anong image yan, pag in-upload mo siya sa app, sasabihin sa iyo ng app for all the relevant information regarding that. Sasabihin din sa iyo ng app, scam ba to, fraud ba to, good ba yan? So, I guess, para siyang similar, well, because the technology of GoGoLook is really powered by AI. No? So, that's one of the things, and we will continue to work with Scamwatch Pilipinas for the volunteer watcher program to really educate all of the Filipinos.
Aba, naku, ida-download. Ano yung app na yan?
Download That's free, no?
Gusto ko yan.
Libre yan, no? Download na tayo.
Saka meron ako isang nagustuhan din sa isa sa mga, actually lahat naman nagustuhan natin, no? Pero ito talaga, tatandaan ko to sa sinabi ni Miss Mel, exercise our bias. Ayan. On that note, maraming salamat po, and hopefully we can talk to you again soon. That's GoGoLook Country Head Mel Megrino. Thank you. All right, coming up, who are the passengers of the viral SUV that illegally entered the EDSA busway? Senator Raffy Tulfo urges them to face the public.
And how are Filipinos going to be affected by the impending Trump presidency? Actually, pwede naman sabihin ni Senator Raffy kasama naman ata niya.
Hindi, yun yung mismo. Pero mamaya pag-usapan natin. Alam ba, no, ating mga brunchies yung pinag-uusapan natin tungkol dun sa sa
they better watch.
Oo, meron din silang mga sinasabi dito tungkol sa
They better watch.
But we're just getting started. Can you imagine? It's 10:34. We're just getting started. More of our top 10 news. When brunch returns, keep it here on One News. Good morning! You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Good morning dun sa ating mga usual suspects. Hindi ko po mabuksan yung YouTube ko ngayon. Alex Fuentes, si John Murdoch, si Gary Field, si Sampo Kimongo ang kanyang brunch daw ngayon. And leftover kimchi na
sarap.
May rice pa, diba? Sarap yun. Si Ralph Domingo, si Christian Cabalquinto, at saka si VJ, si Tita Day, si Tito Naldi, Tito Nito, sino pa?
Good morning sa kanilang lahat.
Mina Benanes.
But let's move forward na kasi, pito pa ang natin.
Nga pala.
Pitong kwento pa yan.
Placing 7th in our countdown is the labor force. More Filipinos were employed in September. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, the unemployment rate dropped from 4% in August to 3.7% in September. However, more Filipinos are looking for extra jobs. The underemployment rate climbed from 11.2% to 11.9%.
Because of the holiday season, more wants to work. Kaya tumaas yung ating employment rate in terms of both the rate and the numbers but hindi lahat na-absorb as like full-time.
Okay.
I wonder kung sinasama nila dyan yung, di ba kapag recently na-interview din natin yun na yung mga biktima ng bagyo, tapos ilalagay nila sa mga temporary jobs. I wonder kung kasama yun dun sa...
This was underemployed na pinag-usapan. Yung may trabaho na kulang ang sweldo sa racket. So, ganun yan. Tsaka hindi pa ata cover dito kasi certain first quarter.
Sa bagay,
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Ako, moving over to our top 6, usapang buhok to. Bakit kayo usapang buhok? Ayan, ito kasi si Congresswoman Migs Nograles tested negative. Ayan ha, negative for illegal drug use. Nograles posted a copy of her follicle drug test results on Facebook. Now this comes a day after Congressman Paulo Duterte released his negative result. Earlier, Duterte and Nograles challenged each other to take the test for illegal drugs. They will go against each other for Davao City 1st District Representative in the 2025 polls.
Hindi pa rin sila tapos. Hindi pa rin sila tapos.
Hindi kayo drug addicts. In the meantime, mga kababayan natin na nasalanta ng bagyo, daming problema.
Siyempre,
diba?
Natapos na si Congressman Pulong Duterte. Siya din dapat ipaki. Kasi yan yung mga
at least clear.
Nag-anuhan.
Malinaw na walang addict sa kanila. Diba? Malinaw na.
Next naman, yung constituents nyo. Ay, hindi sila yung next magte-test. Ibig sabihin, yun naman ang pagtuunan nila ng pansin.
Election na. Tignan natin sino manalo.
Okay, sige, let's continue with our countdown. Coming at the 5th spot is Senator Amy Marcos. The presidential sister insisted that she is still friends with Vice President Sara Duterte. Senator Amy said this week after the Vice President called her brother President Bongbong Marcos as an incapable leader. Recall that VP Sara also threatened to throw the remains of Marcos Sr. to the West Philippine Sea if the attacks against her will not stop. The senator said she already moved on from her friend's remarks. What is now important to her is she can reach out to different political parties.
Natutukan niyo kay VP Sara? Ay, hindi naman.
Your
sasabihan na.
Pero your friendship remains intact.
Marang rin naman ako sa kanya.
Sorry ma'am, your friendship remains intact.
Oo naman. Dapat naman kasi ganun, di ba? Ang importante sa akin, nakakatawid ako kahit anong alyansa.
Sarap kaibigan ni Senator Amy Marcos kahit anong gawin sa kanya.
Tsaka si Senator Amy, ang haba ng pasensya.
Kaya nga
Ako honestly, pag sa akin mo sinabi yun, gagawin mo sa magulang ko yun, teka lang, sasama kita.
Personal na yun
Tatapon mo magulang ko, ididikit kita sa magulang ko. Tatapon ka rin.
Kasi gusto niya panindigan nga yung unity. Kasi siya naman ang nag-isip nun. Sinabi naman niya
But siyempre, it's only 2-3 years into the presidency of Bongbong Marcos, President Bongbong Marcos. Let's see how much more Senator Amy can take. Tao lang naman si Senator Amy May boiling point yan. Yan ang gusto ko maaabangan.
Basta ang importante, hindi daw siya yung nagsasalita. Okay. Pero the people around her,
are the ones doing the...
Medyo nagsalita na rin. Like yung si Congressman Sandro Marcos,
naman,
yung anak naman
you can expect Sandro naman to speak out. Pero the way he spoke out was very eloquent. Yung statement.
Kaibigan pa rin daw sila.
May dalawa pa tayo. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on the One News. Happy Thursday, everyone. Let's get right to it. Kasi may ano pa tayo. Tatlo pa. Tapos may tatlo pa tayo.
Dalawa. Ay, tatlo. On the third spot is the Philippines and U.S. relations. Philippine ambassador to the U.S., Jose Manuel Romualdez, said the commitment of the two countries would remain ironclad under President-elect Donald Trump. Romualdez explained that the Mutual Defense Treaty measures the commitment of the two countries when it comes to sovereign defense.
We've had that since 1951, and I think that over the years it has even evolved into what we call an ironclad commitment coming from the United States, and also a commitment coming from us, that we would like to make that a commitment that we are bound by our interest to be able to defend each other. And that's also the reason why President Marcos is pushing forward into modernizing our armed forces so that we can be an equal partner in this endeavor.
Ambassador said the country is going to be affected by Trump's America First campaign promise. Under this proposal, Trump will ask American companies to relocate back to the United States. Despite this, Romualdez expressed confidence that our exportation of goods to the U.S. will remain intact.
What we're hearing, of course, the policy of Trump, the second term for President Trump would mean America First, which is one of his slogans. And so we take that to mean that President Trump would most likely encourage or having more American businesses relocate back to the United States. But nonetheless, we do have the exports, meaning the exports from Asia to the United States. The Philippines and Vietnam are the top. They are the top exporters of our various goods coming from our country and also Vietnam, which gives you an indication that there's a lot more economic trade. And I think that will continue.
Quickly lang ha. Actually, sa 2016 when President Trump won, that was already his platform na mag-onshoring ulit. In other words, yung mga BPO offshores, ibabalik sa US and as much as possible doon na gawin yung mga call centers. And he even is planning to give tax breaks to big offshore companies, onshore companies na mag-operate within the US. Pag mag-relocate back ka, may certain tax cuts na mangyayari para yung sweldo ng company sa mga kababayan nila that are working there, meron break from taxes, mas malaki yung take-home pay nila.
Okay, sige. Pag-usapan pa natin yan bukas, pero let's continue muna with our countdown.
On our top two, President Bongbong Marcos congratulates President-elect Donald Trump on his apparent win in the U.S. election. Marcos says he is looking forward to working with Trump to bring the Philippines-U.S. relationship to greater heights. Other world leaders, including Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, also congratulated on his, quote, spectacular victory. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu describes Trump's presidential win as, quote, history's greatest comeback. Ukraine's President Zelensky said his country was counting on close dialogue and advanced cooperation. Tsaka alam natin, good friend ni President Trump si Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. They were close way back before because of certain investments regarding yung companies ni Trump.
Going back dun sa kanina, di ba sinasabi nila na baka wala naman daw mangyari ng fundamental shift dun pagdating naman dun sa PH at saka US ties, o yung relationship, yung mga bilateral relationship.
But let's get more about insights about this. We have political pundit Michael Yusinko on Zoom. Michael, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning, Diego. Good morning, Angela. Good morning to everyone listening and watching us this morning.
Michael, what was touted to be a nail-biter and long-drawn, possibly long election counting period has turned out to be a sweep. What's your reaction on this?
Well, frankly, I wasn't surprised. I always suspected that the American electorate will reject the kind of politics that the Democrats were offering. So, the fact na nanalo na si Trump just shows that the American voter has changed, has turned it back against what we conventionally describe as a democracy.
Pero how are the Filipinos going to feel the impact of the Trump presidency? Yan ang madalas na tinatanong
yan ang main question.
Sa tingin ko naman, there won't be any drastic change gaya ng sinabi ni Ambassador Romualdez sa atin kanina sa clip na pinakita ninyo. But I think ang epekto sa Pilipino siguro would be more emotional, because sa tagal-tagal ng panahon, we've always looked at the Americans as the paragon of democratic ideals like rule of law, due process, human rights, right? But with the victory of Trump again, that brings us to question whether the Americans still value those principles. So I think yung impact sa Pilipino o sa mga, I think generally sa mga Pilipino is they're now beginning to question whether we should still look up to the Americans as our sort of benchmark for what democracy should be.
Yes, but Michael, I'd like to ask about President Trump mismo. President-elect Trump admitted that his first time in office in 2016, he didn't know how to navigate Washington. So most of his policies were put in the back burner. But now he said, tutuparin niya yung mga dating promises sa 2016. One of which is yung bringing back certain businesses back to the U.S. onshore, which means maapektuhan ng mga BPO sa Pilipinas. As we all know, malaking driver of economy and jobs ang BPO dito. So anong epekto nito sa atin, Michael?
Diego, I'm not an economist, but just listening to that point, parang naiisip ko kagad na that's not as easy as it sounds, to do.
That's true.
to bring back all of those companies that went offshore.
That's true. And
what
happens?
For good reason, right? So, mukhang the sentiment is there, the idea is there, but as far as the ability to execute that idea, irregardless of whether Trump is now a more experienced president,
right.
I think it's still another question to ask. Kaya ba nila gawin yun? Given the tight competition now in the world economy. So the idea is there. That's one thing, but whether he can implement that is a totally different matter altogether.
Okay, in 4 years nonetheless, no?
Oo, tsaka diba, parang until, paano pag natapos na yung term niya? Diba? Ibabalik na naman yung iba na gusto dito sa mag-offshore.
Yeah, unless naging policy. Yes,
talaga. That's right. Okay, so marami pa kaming gustong itanong kay Sir, pero unfortunately, we don't have much time. But thank you so much, Senior Research Fellow at the Ateneo Policy Center, Michael Yusinko. Thank you so much, and hopefully we can guest you again.
Thank you very much.
Yun.
Nakakabitin, but we'll get him back naman. Madami pag-usapan.
Sige. Alright, sige, let's continue with our countdown. And of course, our top story for today is President-elect Donald Trump. The returning president of the United States of America said their country is going to enter their golden age under his leadership. Meanwhile, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris conceded to Trump but vowed to never concede the fight. But then again, what does this mean for us Filipinos? Here's the report.
So I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
It's a mega comeback for the MAGA leader. Donald Trump is returning to the White House as the 47th president of the United States of America. Based on the latest results, Trump garnered 279 electoral votes, while his opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, only got 223 votes. Trump also maintained his grip at the swing state of North Carolina and flipped the battleground states of Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, and most importantly, Pennsylvania. The states of Nevada, Arizona, and Maine have yet to finish canvassing their votes. But Harris has no chance to catch Trump now. Trump also won the popular vote against a Democratic presidential nominee.
This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
Earlier today, Harris already conceded to Trump. In a speech at her alma mater, Howard University, she urged her supporters to accept the election result as part of democracy. However, Harris said she will not concede the fight her campaign started.
To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed, but please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up.
U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, Mary Kay Carlson, assured the country that our relationship with the U.S. will stay the same under Trump.
We have been through a lot of transitions. In my 39 years in the State Department, I have witnessed transitions from Republican to Democrat to Republican and back and forth, and I am extremely confident that U.S.-Philippine relations will remain steadfast, remain steadfast friends and ironclad allies, as well as partners in prosperity.
But political science professor Julio Tihanki warned that Trump will be stricter when it comes to immigration.
Magkakaroon ng bagong wave of restrictions, magkakaroon ng epekto rin sa mga ibang kababayan natin, lalong-lalo na yung mga gustong mag-migrate.
Yun. Yeah. Pero medyo yun nga divided yung nation nila for now. Diba? Dahil syempre yung iba, hindi pa rin matanggap na ito yung naging resulta ng election.
Pero actually, when you look at the polls, particularly sa mga Middle Americans, it's not really divided anymore given that he has popular vote and he has electoral vote. Not like yung previous talagang divided. Kasi Trump didn't have the popular vote. He had the electoral college vote. Kaya lang sinasabi nila, ang naririnig nyo lang naman is di ba, nakita mo?
Go! Go! Naririnig nyo lang naman go na!
Mga celebrities speaking out against what happened here. But of course, now the scrutiny begins and the people should now take a look at mga binoto nila and if they made the right choice. So, nagsisimula pa lang lahat. But 4 years is very short.
Dalawa yung nakita ko na kaagad na big magazine sa US ang nag-release ng kanilang mga magiging front page, no? Yung sa Time, mukha ni, that's traditional, di ba? Yung sa Vanity Fair, mukha din ni President-elect Donald Trump, tapos mga numbers, no? Iba-ibang mga numbers kung ilang beses siya na-impeach, ilang beses yung mga crimes that he committed, and so on and etc. So, nakita din natin doon sa bandang side na yun, talagang yun, pinakita naman nung sa press.
And yet, he still won. America has spoken. Right. And
tinanggap naman na yun nila, di ba, nila former US President Barack Obama.
I never said they didn't accept. I never said anything.
Well, I'm just telling you lang din.
Anyway, tayo naman next year ang midterms. Bantayan natin yan. Okay. And that wraps up today's episode of Brunch. Join us again tomorrow. She's Angela Lagunsad Castro, and I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.